with Bobby Wardwell, and back in the mix here at the beginning of the season. Had a huge save late in the last minute of the game. What's it been like for you, knowing you're coming in here at halftime and playing well here the last couple games?
It's been a lot of fun. It's kind of how we've operated throughout the scrimmages and everything, so I've kind of gotten a little bit used to it, and just nice to be back playing again.
How hard is it as a goalie? You maybe know you're coming in at halftime, depending on how things go, just to keep mentally ready for the second half when you're not out there in the first, and then having to come up sharp right away.
It's not as tough as I thought it would be, because you're watching the whole game, you're watching what the other team's riding and kind of where their offensive players are shooting. So it's not that difficult to stay into the game during that first half.
It's a little weird because it's you and Dom doing this. Dom was sort of on the other end of this role when you were a freshman. He was the second half goalie earlier that season. Has he given you any advice about popping off the bench at those points?
No, not too much. I think we work really well together as a team, and we always support each other, and we just work really well together, I think.
What's the roller coaster been like for you, from maybe redshirting as a freshman to all of a sudden you're the starter, to starter last year to then not, and now back in the mix? It seems you've had a little bit of every emotion here.
Yeah, it's kind of been everything, and it's kind of been similar for Dom actually too. Freshman year he was the second guy in the half, and then he started for a while, and then last year when I started, then he started and finished out the year. So it's both of us have kind of been through a roller coaster, and I think it made us better players overall.
Even though I'm sure you both would like to play the whole game, does it feel different now this year when you're both playing and playing well, maybe to a couple of years ago when one of you would struggle and then the other would go in for that reason, that both are out there playing well right now?
Yeah, it's I really like that aspect of it, and it's great for both of us, and both of us have been doing well in practice, and also it gives kind of gives the team a different look because you get used to shooting on one goalie in the first half and then switch it up in the second, so it's just a different dynamic for teams.
All right, one play of the Albany game I have to get you to take us through because I don't think anyone was actually watching the right part of the field. That hidden ball play, was that planned, or how did that come about with you guys?
Mullins and I had talked about doing it freshman year a little bit, and then we did it in practice a few times, and in the fall and stuff like that. And then as soon as he faked putting the ball on my stick, I knew exactly what he was doing just because we talked about it before and stuff. And then I just kind of ran around and pretended to have the ball and got the stick checked out of my hands, but by that time it was kind of too late. He was already in the opposite box, and so I figured that we'd score off that one.
You sort of see the hidden ball in the half field at some points. Pretty surprised it worked as long as it did, the length of the field there?
I was pretty shocked. I think that he pulled it off really well, and at one point I looked up to see where he was, and he was just kind of trotting very casually up the field, and so I figured it would work. He did a really good job pulling that off.
All right, last thought here with Bobby Wardwell. It's Maryland coming up next. It's Ben Albany. We know the gauntlet coming up. What's the schedule like now that you're into it and going through tough game after tough game?
It's a little crazy, but also it's nice knowing that you're going to come out and have a great opponent to play every single game versus sometimes, little trap games and stuff like that where you have a big win and then all of a sudden next week you're playing not as good of an opponent. So it's I like having tough games every week. It's more fun that way.
All right, Bobby, been fun to watch so far. We'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, thank you.
With Billy Ward now, and a hat trick for you last week against Albany. Offensive guys, how fun is it to play in a game like that one?
Up-tempo game. You can't really ask for more. We got a ton of runs, which is really great. compared to some of the other games we've been in the past, 6-5, 5-4. Those games, you're not getting a ton of runs, just a lot of defense. But Albany, up-tempo, a lot of runs, offensive game. You couldn't really ask for much more as an offensive player.
I'd imagine in some games you'd say a 5-goal lead is insurmountable. Against Albany, it can't be that much of a surprise, and all of a sudden became a game again.
Like I said, you had to know. You could have asked me when we were up 16-11, is this going to be the final score? And I would have told you no. You knew they were going to come back. With those guys, they don't need the ball long. It's 10 seconds, and they'll have a goal here and there, and then they get a couple face-off wins, and they're going to get the ball back. You knew it was going to be a closer game than that.
What have you thought about your role so far this season? Last year you were sort of starting every other game on attack. Now we know you're going to be out there on the midfield line. How much has that changed for you this year?
It really hasn't changed much from how I prepare or do different things. I look at myself kind of as obviously a senior. I've been around the block for 4 years now, and I'm playing with two freshmen some of the time with Jordan and Weston. So how I look at it, I just want to make sure those guys are all right and we're playing together. And we got a great first line midfield. We got a great set of attack. So I'm really just doing what I can. I mean, I know I'm not going to have to go out there and score 5 goals a game. I mean, that's just not what I'm going to have to do or what our line needs to do. We just need to be a solid line that doesn't turn the ball over. And, you know, when we need a goal, we're going to get the goal. And I think our second line's playing pretty well. And it's just a matter of keeping that up.
Yeah, and imagine when you see the connection, too, of Dylan and Kevin on the attack line right now. It says, all right, it sort of makes sense to have us all on the field at once.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, like I said, we don't. Our line doesn't need to go out there. We have some great scorers. We got some great players, and Kevin and Dylan are playing awesome. And I think as we progress, I think, you know, we might have a little more on our plate as teams start to recognize, you know, Kevin and Dylan are playing so well. We got to stop them. I think it's going to come down to, you know, our second line playing well, and I think we've done a good job of that. And it's just a matter of keeping that up, especially with the young guys too, is not turning the ball over. I mean, Jordan and Nick have played extremely well, picked up the offense amazingly for as long as they've been here. So it's just a matter of keeping that going.
The other guy you've played with at points too is Randy Stotts. Sometimes out there, I see a little smile there. What kind of player is he like to play with? It just seems he knows exactly where to be.
Yeah, it's funny because I've gotten that question, you know, the past couple of days, and I mean, he just makes it easy. I know, especially for me, it's just a matter of getting open for a second. Where some guys, you know, may not find you, he's going to find you. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've said it in the past couple of days. I mean, he does it all. He dodges, he passes, he feeds. Real easy to play with, and a really smart lacrosse player too. So it makes my job a lot easier.
How excited are you now for this stretch of schedule? Albany obviously really kicked it off, but now you see Maryland and Virginia, and all this is coming up for you guys.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier.
No.
It's gonna. I mean, the ACC's. I mean, that's why we come here. We come here to win championships. We come here to play the best teams in the country. I don't think you could ask for anything more, really, especially Maryland started off, and it just keeps on going and going. But, you know, our focus right now is Maryland, and they're a top 10 team. Watched some film today. They're a really good team, too, so it's not going to be an easy battle for us by any means. It might be a little different game than it was on Sunday, but it's not going to be an easy game at all, so it'll be tough.
And last thought here, you've been in these tight games all through last year. You had 10 of them, a 1-goal game this year. Basketball teams having a heart attack, it seems, every other day. Is there just something in the blood right now
They're
around
not
this
making
building?
it easy for anyone.
No.
It's just, like I said, it's a part of being in the ACC. We're playing, I think every team right now in the ACC is a top 10 team. So I can't imagine there's going to be many blowouts at all this year. And we got to go into each game expecting it to be a grind because that's, I mean, in the end, that's what it's going to come down to.